This is the KORG EMX, and it rocks. I think it's quite underrated at this point. It's March 2017, and you can still buy these for anywhere from $350 to $600. I'm in Canada, so that's in Canadian dollars. And to me, that's way better than investing in a vintage drum machine that is very limited. I get that there's some nostalgia and whatnot there, but if you're looking at it from a purely sound scaping and using point of view, then this beats pretty much every machine I've owned, including an MPC 2000. Now, there are people who can do marvelous things with those other machines. It's just that this interface happens to really jive with the way I think. Within an hour I was making a track on it, and it just makes so much sense. I haven't learned everything there is in here because it does go pretty deep, but I was able to get it up and running and make some decent tracks within, like I said, an hour of owning it. I can't imagine what's yet to come as I dig deeper into it. So I'll go over some of the features quickly. It's got audio in, one single audio monaural in. That can be mic or line. It's got two individual outs, and you can send whatever signal you want, whatever sound you want. So I could send that to the individual out and that one to the other out. And I could isolate those from the mix and send them through a mixer and process them individually and still be running the stereo outs. It's got a headphone in, it's got MIDI in, out, through, and it's got a power adapter with it. Doesn't run on batteries. That could be a deal breaker for some people. It doesn't matter to me. Real instruments to me don't take batteries, but to each their own. It's got tubes, of course. I think these are the stock tubes. A lot of people say that they're very noisy. If these are the stock tubes, I think they're fine. I really enjoy them. I think they add a very excellent amount of character and warmth. Of course, you can overdrive it and make it sound completely distorted, which again is probably a very good thing. This thing is probably one of the better hip-hop beat machines that I've used. I've owned quite a few drum machines and an MPC and an Akai XR20 and used a bunch of different DAWs and things like that, and this is the most fun and maybe the best sounding piece of hardware that I've ever used. The most useful, the most enjoyable. It's blowing my mind. I'm late to the game. It's 2017, and I think these were introduced in 2005 or 2007. I can't remember. So I'm late to the game on that. I see these things being future classics, and right now, like I said, you get them anywhere from $350 to $600. I think these are going to be over $1,000 soon, because if a tr-xox is worth $600 plus right now, which they're selling for, then this has got to be worth over $1,000, because this makes a tr-xox and a lot of other vintage stuff that is cool in its own way, but is so limited. This makes those other machines kind of look silly, you know, in some ways. So there's all these drum parts here, these pads that you can assign different sounds to. Out of the 200 sounds, if you don't like the stock sounds, it doesn't matter. You can mangle them beyond recognition. Here's 5 synth parts here. Those won't sound, they're different. Nice violin sound. Anyway, there are no stock settings, so to speak, for the synth. It's all something that you can create. There's a lot of different wave settings for the synth oscillator, which is awesome. There's a lot of programmability on here and a lot of ways to manipulate each individual sound to make it very unique and have its own characteristic. There's lots of editing parameters, lots of editing features here. There's effects. There's 3 different effects that can be applied. You can apply it to parts individually, and you can chain the effects together. The tubes on this, like I said, are great. You can bypass them just by turning it down, or you can crank it up and you know, really lean into that gritty nastiness. And that's why I think it's so great for hip-hop. It's great for techno as well, and I mean house and everything, but hip-hop especially, since you can really make it grungy, and you can take something that's a very stock sound and a very dry sound, and you can very easily make it sound as though you sampled it from vinyl, and it becomes its own character. And let me play a little something for you here. This is a hip-hop beat that I made. So there's no way you're picking up the bass and the clarity and the depth of the bass, but it's phenomenal. It's very shapeable. It's very clean. Some people talk about the noise to signal ratio not being very good on this. I think it's an excellent machine. I found it has very little noise. I can't say enough good about this. If you're thinking about this, it's worth it. It's worth giving it a try, especially if you can pick it up for $500 or less, because you're going to be able to turn around and sell it for that easily. As far as the different media is concerned, this is SD. I think SD is probably preferable compared to the smart media, I think it is. But honestly, I haven't even used that. It's not a big deal to me. It's not something I even look at. Maybe in the future I would, because if this ever crashed or the internal battery crapped out, then I wouldn't want to lose all the work that I did. So that's a really excellent way of storing whatever's on there. There's no USB because it's before instrumentation like this started using USB, I think. It's very, very well built in my opinion. Some people say that there's an issue with the data wheel and it starts to jump. There is a fix for that I've read about, where if you are having that issue, don't abandon your MX. Just open it up and put a piece of wax paper between the board and what the board is almost touching, because that's what's potentially causing the data wheel to jump. Or you can sell it to me for real cheap and I'll love it. Some of the things I think that are missing on here are, let me show you this cool feature. So I'll solo this and play it. That's a cool feature, the solo, and you can add and remove whatever parts you want as you're playing, which really lends itself to live performances. I really like that feature. So this right here, I'm going to play with the arpeggiator. Super cool. The one thing I would like to be able to do though is adjust the timing on the arpeggiator so that it could vary somehow. I mean, from what I understand, that's all it can do. Which is plenty cool. Don't get me wrong, I've never seen that on any other machine, so it's cool enough. It's got accents on it. Why aren't any of those lighting up? Oh, it's on solo, that's why. It's got accent. So all those drum sounds, all those synth sounds, completely tweakable, every sound. A little bit limited with the effects. These are amazing machines. If you're thinking about getting one, try it out. Thanks for watching. Take care.